Well, hello, and welcome back to Genshin Impact. Well, this is Audible, so yeah. It's been a while since we had that. I had to look it up because it's been so long. Last time I did it was during what's that thing called? Simulanka, that's right. And now we're doing it here. In the middle of Nutland. But it's just one, so it's fine. We have plenty of time for resin. Right, I said events because there also happens to be an event as well. Rhythm Ball Metzley. Is this? Oh, it's New Imaginarium Theatre. I thought it just did it as well. Anyway, I can do Imaginarium Theatre if I finish everything early. Anyway. I don't think I've finished all of here. As in Aliosarian buddy still has a quest. I'll check this. But all the quests are done. I'll look it up. Okay, there's lights, camera, action. I'm pretty sure I've done that. Tibetan hide and seek, done that. Gifts and return. Not sure about that. Waiting for seeds to sprout, treasures and collectors. Or maybe that's just for 5.0. Seems like it. I have no idea. I'm not getting any quest prompts. Well, anyway, we can only just go there, right? Oh shit. Did I not finish the quest? You're used to place to rest in that place. Rawr! I'm not getting it. Unless he just happens to finish here. Hey, Ash Brown. Rawr! How you feeling today? Rawr, rawr!
Hey, Hash Brown. Hey, Hash Brown sure looks like he's in a good mood.
Let's touch his horn. Roar!
And Palmer touch too. Don't wiggle, you're tickling Palmer's palm.
About the golden designs. Roar.
The golden designs you speak on are probably those iridescent inscriptions. Or sometimes Palmer can't see them when you say they are.
Roar.
Not even if you start roaring, it's better to not see some things. Hash Brown and Taruto, you best be careful, okay?
I don't know what the quest is. What other quests I have left? I don't understand. I've done this one, so... I have no idea. What am I missing? What am I missing? Chosen of Dragons. Okay, I've done the Archon quest, world quest. It's probably I just missed something. Random. I think it might be it, like around here. Be nice if these were marked out. Huh, I haven't done that one either. Anyway. Is it because I didn't take some chests? Or not?
地面から生えてきたの？遅刻遅刻。
You know what? I'll try and find it in my own time. It'll take ages anyway. So let's go somewhere where we can read in peace. And obviously, this has to be the right spot. Okay. Let's start with the archives. Equipment. I think it's just 4 artifacts. Is it? Yeah. This is Scroll, the hero of Cinder City. A flower carved from flint and drakeite, signifying that its bearer is qualified to become a beast tamer. Hey, Tanuki. This flower, carved from flint and drakeite, was left in Cinder City. It is a talisman passed down through generations by beast tamers from the Sons of the Canopy. A flint paw print adorns the item, said to have been made by the first Yumkasaurus to bond with a human. The beast tamers are those who focus on building friendships with Saurians. Their ideals are sometimes incomprehensible even to their fellow tribespeople, for they seek to settle matters peacefully, even with violent Saurians who have hurt a human, even attempting to beat the Saurian hunters to the punch. There is a way to gain the trust of even the most vicious Saurian. All that is needed is enough patience. This was the wisdom the young beast tamer received from his master, alongside this weighty talisman, and he kept it in his heart. Beasts too have the same hearts as we do, so he believed, and so kept faith until the world-engulfing black tide came. Black tide again? Those were monsters who could never be understood, beasts with whom peace could never be made. When he finally returned to his hometown, all he saw were dreams ripped to shreds by monstrous claws running amok, settling the tribespeople fortunate enough to survive. The beast tamer, no longer young, embarked on a journey from which there could be no return. This time his foes were the heartless demons that came in with that dark tide, and dealing with them too required patience, for only patience could ensure that not one of them was left to plague the land he held dear. Legends hold that the ancient Python king once forged a secret abyss-repelling treasure that could only be retrieved from the filth-ridden ancient city. Perhaps such was simply the wishful thinking of those who dwelt deep in despair, but for the brave this hope was yet worth a try. At the end of his journey, the warrior bereft of his home would reach the burned-out city, and there come face to face with a secret long buried. Is it talking about Skyfire, rending Skyfire or whatever? Cleaving Skyfire? Mountain Ranger's marker. Some say that the mountain rangers who came from the spring's source. I should read it first. A signal used by mountain rangers to mark out paths. The bird feather shapes make them very eye-catching indeed. Some say the mountain rangers who came from the spring source would leave these feather-like tokens on the paths they trod, both to mark the road out and also to tell future visitors that someone had come this way in the past. Today these tokens lie silently in deserted nooks of the ash-laden ancient city, and none would ever walk these paths again, just as those who left the tokens behind had hoped. They had stepped on every firm rock on the mountain's cliffs and trod upon every fallen leaf in the forest. Never did they stop. Those mountain rangers, they who had long committed every inch of Natlan to memory. Whenever travelers or explorers from abroad arrived, they would enthusiastically serve as guides. Though even those wondrous sights to behold were to them merely old childhood friends, then the day came when the black tide swept across the distant skies, and all that was once familiar vanished into the void. Where children once played, laughing in gardens, now only ashes and bones burned by wildfire remained. Where the townspeople once washed their work fatigue away in hot springs, now fresh blood and mud ran over the banks. But the final mountain ranger had no time to stop and mourn, for there were things he had to do. To set out again on this path he no longer knew, and retake his home once so familiar. Legend said that a treasure powerful beyond measure lay at the heart of the black tide. In the ancient city wherein a foul dragon lurked, it was akin to a golden wheel that could reverse time's flow, burning away the writhing, agonized present and bringing the beautiful past back. As if grasping a last lifeline, the veteran, peril-proven mountain ranger decided to make this his final stop. Even should it yet be another trap laid by some heartless spectator for the terrified people. Mystic's Gold Dial. A golden disc shaped like a sun. The draconic patterns on it seem to symbolize the cycle of life and death. Ah, it's an Ouroboros. Ordinarily speaking, mystics born in the Canyon of Night Smoke would have to train for decades to grasp the techniques needed to communicate with the Wyob. But in this most chaotic of times, even the freshest-faced disciple had to take to the battlefield, guiding the heroic spirits of the fallen home. This lovely golden disc, lost within the ancient city, once belonged to an equally beautiful little mystic, and the needle upon it always points home. When the black tide darkened and the sun enveloped the land, the Night Kingdom was also occupied by the vicious hounds of the Beast Rifts, and their dark blood was smeared everywhere. The voices of the ancient Wyob were drowned amidst the sonorous sea of metal and stone, clashing and the wailing of tormented life, nigh forgotten by all. But the tribal shamans knew that for warriors devoured by the dark shadows, even death was a luxury. And even should their valiant spirits escape the clutches of evil, they would often lose their way in the night realms, finally becoming unable to return home. To maintain the staying power of the tribes in battle and to reclaim their lost kin, one group of mystics after the next departed the canyon, and they could be seen fighting everywhere, whether it was a corpse-strewn battlefield or amidst ruins filled with devastation. For the young mystic named Liru, that name sounds familiar. This was her first time embarking on such a long and arduous journey. The team of adventurers whose goal was to reach the city above the clouds were battle-hardened veterans, one and all. Save for her. Liru. Is this Ochkanatlan? And Bona. Bona was following the footsteps of Liru. I believe so. Although she had been most earnest in her desire to join, the creatures lurking in the city still far exceeded her imagination. Her companions had long anticipated this, and so they left her behind, in a safe tower before departing quietly. When the girl who had fled in the face of danger finally made it to their encampment, All that awaited were shattered corpses, the remains of the dragon's hearty meal. As a mystic, not only had she failed to rescue her allies, but she could not bring their souls back either. But if nothing else, she had to bring tales of their end back to their families, who yet awaited their return. I remember now. Our leader said that he had a child, so come on, Liru, pull yourself together. Carrying new hope in her past, she set out on another path, upon a homeward road for all. Yeah, that must have been Ochkanatlan. Wandering Scholar's Claw Cup. A strange goblet strikingly similar in shape to a dragon's claw. Its maker must have made it with something special in mind. Even in this fertile land, where martial prowess prevails, some have eyes only for books and knowledge. So it was for a certain someone who claimed to be the president of the Saurian Relics Association, who carried thick woven scrolls day in and day out, or spent those days tampering with the mystery mechanisms of unknown provenance, to prove that his research was not utterly useless. He would also make some items, with this strangely shaped beast claw goblet being his pride and joy. At that time he had yet to realize how much of a luxury all this pointless study was. When dark nightmares devoured homes, all the woven scrolls they worked so hard to find were destroyed in the fires of war. His daily routine, to which he was long used, evaporated, as if he had awakened from a quiet afternoon nap. And destiny pushed him onto another path, and in this he no longer had any choice. Had once read in the older scrolls that the ruins left by the ancient dragons contained weapons capable of defending against the demons. So to prevent his comrades from dying in vain, he put his past research aside, dedicated the rest of his life to a new cause. The machines of the secret source excavated from those abandoned ruins were restructured and modified to aid the warriors. Perhaps it was the knowledge accumulated over the years, or perhaps it was some wise sage's guiding hand behind the scenes. But the project went incredibly smoothly, until at last, at the depths of a forsaken city, it discovered a secret, or perhaps a curse, that had been hidden for thousands of years. Legends held that the Python king of Ochkanatlan once built a sky-faring treasure ship, and that within this ship was a secret prize that could drive the abyss beyond the bounds of the world. Such legends became a balm to those eking out survival in such desolate times, and a beacon to countless adventurers who embarked on lengthy journeys to save the world. Not one who ventured forth returned, making the scholar a target for public scorn. Yet he kept faith that this was no lie, that this was a truth he had witnessed with his very own eyes. Some say he meant to prove his point, or perhaps he meant to end all this. But the traveling scholar at last joined a team of adventurers heading towards the city up in the clouds. Mask. Demon Warrior's Feather Mask. A feather mask with falcon-esque plumage. Many legends surround this object. The tribe built atop the mountains would regularly host combat tournaments in which contestants would wear special masks. These served to intimidate opponents, but contestants also saw them as symbols for themselves. Whenever a masked warrior took the field, their fans would roar out, yet fall silent when the opposition made their entrance. But when the man wearing the feather mask bearing a falcon's semblance entered, all would be strangely silent. Before becoming an adventurer, Taiko was the mightiest warrior in the Flower Feather clan, always getting the upper hand during those rites of contention. Perhaps this would even bore him. Perhaps this was how the rest of his life. Sometimes this would even bore him. Perhaps this was how the rest of his life would play out. For how could he have known of the imminent catastrophe then? It began as mere dark clouds roiling in the horizon, then sporadic reports of people disappearing in the night realm. and when the monsters appeared before them, none were ready. Nonetheless, someone had to shoulder the responsibility, and the strong naturally should bear a greater burden. It was only after witnessing true war that he first felt the weight of destiny. Thus did he bid his wife and unborn child farewell, and he became himself a fearsome demon on the battlefield. For to vanquish demons and monsters, one must become more ferocious still. That was the last battle of his life, and as he collapsed amidst a pool of blood atop the apex of the center city, countless scenes flashed before his eyes. He glimpsed the fiery red flames of the ancient land bloom before him once more, like fields of flowers upon the plains. The gates of hell are stained red by the flowing blood of the brave. Let me offer my blood, and leave the key to those gates with my child. Or perhaps what he saw was the faint light through the crack in that gate, at the last reminding him of the words he said to his beloved wife as they parted. If it's a girl, call her Bona. She'll surely become an outstanding warrior. Oh, this is Bona's father. Very nice. Taika. Hello, Dark. What are you doing? Alright, this is Obsidian Codex. Reckoning of the Cynogenic. A flower meticulously carved from black crystal. It emits a mysterious light at night. Glows in the dark. In the days when the dispossessed divine envoy fell into realms devoid of light, and when the ruler nearly returned, destroyed the blasphemous citadel. Many stories transpired that were never recorded or eulogized in any human history. Want to see my characters? Probably not right now because I'm doing a lore reading thing. In the kingdom of bishops lucky enough to survive when heaven and earth collapsed, isolated by a vast sea of red soil, where their kin could only scrape by, impoverished, in the expanse of the desolate sea. They enjoyed freedom by the grace of the One who ruled over flames, and yet the wisdom of fire had already been seized by the tide of feculent darkness. Only its grey corpse shambled on. To maintain a dragonkind's remnant might, their blind, foolish heirs took violence for the rule of law. And this land of cinder soon to vanish, upon which the sun had set, only one human cast a gaze toward the begloomed future. I see light fall upon the rootless earth, the dragons prostrating before their ruler's deathbed. I see great wisdom, great art, great civilization, and all shall perish. But endless cycles are the law of the world, and history will not cease on account of our sorrows. But tragic are my kin, for they see not how their folly serves to aid history's iron rule. Servants today shall be rulers tomorrow. Past slaves shall be future masters. Our race is mired in spiraling contradiction inexorable. Only in sowing seeds shall we find salvation. Perhaps out there in the abundant primordial wilderness, there is a land that has yet to know the touch of filth and decay. Trying to go to other firmaments, maybe? Thus, passing through searing flame and raging wind, it took as yet unextinguished primordial kindling from the ancient palace beneath the magma, bearing the hopes of another race. The wisest of dragons bid farewell to the splendorous city ineffable. The wisest of dragons. Is it Nibelung? Am I only reading artifacts? Not only artifacts. I'll read artifacts for now, but I'll probably read some books after. The Root of the Spirit Marrow. A feathered accessory made in imitation of an ancient dragon's wing. Perhaps it was once a memento of some forgotten history. In the age when wildfire consumed the roots of the world, and when the barbarian tribes sliced through the briars to open the mountains and woods, many stories transpired that were never recorded or eulogized in any human history. Okay, that part just keeps repeating. Jade Cutter lore. I don't even know if I have. I'm pretty sure I don't have Jade Cutter. The wisest among dragons traversed the burning plains, carrying the seeds split from the primal fire, stepping into a rugged, untamed land. Yet as it walked through hot springs and valleys that dragonkind had yet to touch, seeing things grown from soil or created, none met its expectations, until one day, when the fog dispersed in a deep valley, it discovered the Creator's most beloved, and yet the weakest of species. Those who should still have been wrapped in swaddling cloths, yet were born in a land where dragons did dance, and so could only eke out survival in the shadow of ancient wings. Though they had long lost their guidance, forgotten their past histories and memories, and lost themselves amidst mountain and wood, they endured still. Marveling at their tenacity, unity, and courage, the sage amongst dragons resolved to grant them the kindling of wisdom. Ah, so it's humanity and Kukulkan gave them the knowledge. But that precious gift was not without cost. It would civilize these barbarians, but it would also order their destinies. For unlike the plan of that first divine one, what the most sage one brought was the profane path of evolution. Its far sight had divined that at the end of that path, human blood would be poured into the derelict body of the moribund earth, merging two species and two bloodlines as one, and thus would an ancient pulse surge through a reborn civilization. Indeed, it would be as the wisest one said unto the first barbarian who climbed upon the floating landmass to visit it. But from your heirs shall come the savior of two worlds. He shall be brutal as the lions and scorpions, but as cunning as a wild fox. One day he shall slay the overlord of fire and ascend to the oldest of thrones. Praise be unto the ruler of two worlds. Och Khan, which failed? Myths of the Night Realm. A mysterious ritual element that is neither a timepiece nor a compass. Nowadays, no one has any idea what it is used for. In the years when ancient humans dammed up the black tide with their very bodies, in the days when floating land and eternal night still walked separate roads, many stories transpired that were never recorded or eulogized. Why do I keep reading that? I all know that brave and wise Shak took the ever-bright kindling from the hands of the sage of the stolen flame, and that he shared this kindling with his fellow tribespeople, passing the secret of fire unto all who came forth to study it. Bidding farewell to long years of chaos and ignorance, the new sprouts of civilization sprung up once more from untamed wilderness. But within their massive walls, the winged ones who lorded it over all had yet to realize that the wheel of fate had begun to turn. Yeah, they're basically slaves for the dragons. Legends hold that the great sage who dwelled in the stillness of the floating land knew the answer to all question in the mortal world, but that even he had no answer to two matters, the end of the living and the homeward path of the dead. Perhaps it was that the gods of the night realm ruled over the underworld, for they were great foes of the sage in ancient days. Or perhaps his long-considered plan would crumble should the everlasting flame reconnect with the roots of the earth. Having mastered the majestic primal fire, fearless Shak and his companions at last defeated that raging wicked dragon, and founded the first tribe. They rebelled, of course. And yet even ancient heroes could not defy the verdict passed by time, for it is eternal, and so one by one his companions bade him farewell. At last only Shak was left, a veteran of countless battles. His tribe had scattered, and none now sang of his saga. Only in the deepest nights could he hear that call from a faraway realm, as if to reignite the fading flame in his heart. On the last night of his life, he climbed a high mountain to ignite the first flame. He called out, hoping to reunite with his former companions, and the god of the night realm responded. That night, people throughout the land seemed to hear voices from another world, like a mother's clear song, like the low whispers of old friends, and the birth cry of the first Wayab of the Night Kingdom. Pre-banquet of the contenders. A vessel that seems to have been made by twisting and forming stone in a seemingly whimsical fashion. But it is an open question as to who possesses such strength. Okay, don't read the first part. When the priests of smoke and mist lit bonfires tall enough to block out the sun and offered the blood of other species to their valiant ancestors and invisible deities. When the hero who had drawn from the flame rode a tamed beast to the fortress built from massive stones through the guidance of the tribal Wayab. When the reptiles that dwelled within a city so ancient that none knew its builders scaled its twisted towers in terror. Only the wisest among dragons stood within the stagnant void, a silent observer of the grand drawn-out tragedy. Though the envoy of dust was not part of its plan, the path of evolution did not thus deviate. And through careful selection and cultivation, the tribal heroes it had nurtured and ascended to the stage of competition between all parties, it believed that the strongest amongst them would become the hero who would rule all human tribes dwelling atop the Black Stone. In his name, they would make a covenant, raise a banner of the blazing sun, and march upon the city of deep wells that even gods had yet to conquer. On that day, the living corpse on the throne would spit forth flame that could stain the sky red, and the new king would receive the primal fire as a tribute, due them for ascension. On that day, the dragons would once more bow before the overlord of two worlds, and that knowledge of countless years of civilization would be open to him. For it knew that the foes in the shadows were not far off. Indeed, they still hid it in the night's deepest depths, waiting to strike a final blow. For it knew that neither the gods in their heavens, nor the High King among dragons would suffice. All knowledge and strength had to be gathered before that day came. Only by this could his stubborn kin awaken from the ancient shattered dreams of a decrepit king. Only by this could the ancient civilization welcome suitable successors and find its footing once more on the earth. This is his way of rebuilding the dragon civilization, by destroying them. Crown of the Saints. A crown made of obsidian, that in ancient times was used in coronation ceremonies by noble tribal kings. In the era when the dark tide of... oh, fuck me. I'll probably do the event after this little passage. When human warriors bid farewell to their secluded villages and brought blessings of the wild to once inaccessible, forbidden realms, the ancient dragons had become extinct from the fields they once ran upon, and the fruitful soil and springs had taken upon new colors. The palaces and temples built upon magma cliffs lost their luster, now silently waiting for the judgment at the end of days. In this dreamlike realm cut off from the world, the end of the era of the ancients too drew nigh, and in the lightless lands of night, the sacred ones continued their dissension over who would deliver this final verdict. He was a hero unprophesied, a champion unaccounted for by any plan. This was a time when the war chiefs of the tribes had abandoned their great cause of slaying wicked dragons, vying power drunk for supremacy. When their warriors plunged into endless warfare, leaning on savage beasts for support. And in those days from the dark lands rose a king bright as the newborn sun, warm as the budding dawn. He wore a crown woven from the golden flowers, wielded a great blade of obsidian, and visited one tribe after another. Disagreements born from blades can only be resolved by the blade, and delusion born from ambition can only be subdued by ambition still greater. And the one who had thought itself master over evolution never imagined that those with strength would give it an answer beyond conquest and slaughter. Under the sun's radiance did the tribes make a pact of armistice, and thus did the sacred ones of the Night Realm lay their arguments aside and offer him the crown. The dawn of a new era emerged over the horizon, and when that light illuminated the earth, even the beasts of darkness had nowhere to hide. Okay. I've just got 2 more. Long Night's Earth and finally the Deep Galleries. But first, gotta do the event to actually, cool down a bit. Rhythm Bowl Medley. One day you and Palmer received an enthusiastic invitation from Morlani to attend a new music party at the People of the Springs. Head to Tavart. Anyway, I can share my characters. These are my characters. Yep. Okay. Oh, a whole stage has been set up. Look at this. Just having dance battles? You met Mizuki. Oh yeah, she does have a store here. Shilonen. Did she build this whole place?
一番大事なお客さんも到着したことだし、いよいよパーティーも最高潮だね。や、モアラに、シロネンも来てたんだな。それにミズキも稲妻から来たのか？うん。ナタの友人ってみんな家族のように接してくれるんだ。だから流線の州は私にとって第二の故郷って感じなの。それにこっちの視点もちゃんと切り盛りして、できる限りここの人たちの力にならないとね。実際水木の働きぶりはすごいよ。そこらの優等生でさえ水木と比べたら怠け者に見えちゃうくらいね。
I don't remember Shilonen be a service provider. Wait, so are you one of her clients too? Or could it be that you've worked together before?
最近変な夢を見るんだよね。例えば4週間だった工期を1週間に変更されるとか、あと丸みを帯びた危険な飾りが欲しいとかね。しかも同じように工期を4分の1にされるおまけ付き。
I know this one, slimes and fungi. And tell about specters and bull octopuses. Nah, it's probably something from Silatli. Silatli's one of Silatli's little divining tools.
即答かよ。まさか夢の中でシロネンに注文したのってお前じゃないよな。それ危険って言える？工期は別にいいとして、丸いものって加工に手間がかかるから急いで作ると質が悪くなっちゃうんだよね。とまあ夢で厄介な注文をいっぱい受けてさ、なんかおかしく思ったから仕事を終わらせて水木のお店に行ったんだ。
そしたら効果抜群。その日の昼寝からもう変な夢を見なくなったよ。
Just ate them all up.
シロネンの悩みを解決できてよかった。でも変な夢が消えたのは君自身が頑張ったおかげだよ。
とにかく今はみんな元気ってことで、リラックスするにはもってこいのタイミングだから、流線の週の伝統水上パーティーを開いてみんなに思いっきり楽しんでもらうことにしたんだ。
Party on the water, huh? Sounds fun.
遊び尽くしてやろうぜ。でも初参加だし、美味しい食べ物と飲み物があるってことぐらいしか想像できないけど。
Yeah, what are we doing?
あなたのみんなは
Volleyball?
こういう時に何して遊ぶんだ？
High-speed surfing with a koalasaur? Skydiving from the back of a cucusaur? Ropeless bungee jumping with a yumkasaur? Tried that one actually.
それってオイラでも遊べるか？
You were there.
ははー、もうエクストリームスポーツの虜になってるみたいだね。私も最初に思いついたのがそれだったよ。でもね、アミナに真面目な口調でこう言われちゃったんだ。一般人にこういうのは刺激が強すぎるよ。普通のビーチバレーでも力加減をミスって怪我させちゃうケースがあるからね。せっかく参加したのに怪我のせいで楽しく遊べずに嫌な気持ちだけ残すことになったら、水木さんの仕事が増えちゃうでしょ。
人の悩みを解決できるのは嬉しいけど、その原因が怪我となるとまた話が別だからね。やっぱりお客さんには安全に楽しんでもらわないと。
Yeah, she's not
だ
actual
からこうして水木と相談してたって
medical
わけ。
doctor.
その顔からしていい案を思いついたみたいだな。このイベントはエクストリームスポーツの経験が浅いからって尻込みしちゃうようなものじゃなく、気軽に参加できるものにするのがいいと思ったの。稲妻の参戦花祭りのことをムアラニに話したら、過去のお祭りで行われたミニゲームがちょうどいいんじゃないかってなってね。それで考えた結果、ナタの雰囲気に合わせて秋津羽遊びをアレンジして、リラックスしつつ爽快感も楽しめるビートボールを思いついたんだ。
I see. So it's honey
ゲ
asobi.
ームにナタの雰囲気を取り入れたのか。
I do like it.
これまでに考えたことなかった組み合わせだな。
There's the children of Echo's dance off stage. I can really feel the beat of the music.
まだターンテーブルのボリュームをオンにしてないのに、低音とビートを今から感じ取っちゃうなんてね。今回のメインとなるビートボールは熱い音楽のリズムに合わせて全てのブロックをボールで壊すゲームになってる。直感的にプレイできて複雑なテクニックもいらない。その上安全だから誰でも楽しめる。もちろん旅人みたいな才能あるプレイヤーだったら独特のビートと深みを表現できるだろうね。一つの曲でも DJ によって違った表情を見せるっしょ。リズムゲームもそれと同じ。もしかするとチル系の音楽もあんたがプレイしたらサイケデリックやアートコアみたいな面白い感じになるかもね。ちょっと楽しみになってきた。
I see. I'm my own DJ.
よくわかんないけど、お前ならきっとできると思うぞ。
Yeah, music and games right up my alley. Sure, I'll give it my best shot.
そうそう、その意気だよ。君とパイモンには一番楽しんでもらいたいんだ。お菓子と飲み物を持って後で君のプレイを見物させてもらうね。
ただし熱中しすぎないよう気をつけることじゃないと、寝てる間も音楽が頭を離れなくなっちゃうかもしれないぞ。
Too
あ
late.
りがとな。楽しませてもらうぜ。シロネンって曲を選ぶのが得意だし、もし夢の中で聴くことになってもきっと大丈夫だよな。
Yeah, I've played it before. I've played these games before. Are they all here? Oh, indeed. Hello. Oh, no voiced. I can feel the warmth of your emotions from how much you enjoyed the game. I'm sure you'll have sweet, relaxing dreams tonight. Do you also listen to fast-paced music, Mizuki? That's a classic line of questioning. Well, I'll listen to whatever my friends recommend, even if it's not to my tastes. I wouldn't want to let them down after all. I can enjoy lively music, but I prefer soothing, elegant tunes. Can't say I particularly care for instrumental variety or technical sophistication. As long as the melody is pleasant to the ears, even if it's a cappella or slow solo, it won't feel bland to me. Rather, I find they exude a sense of beautiful serenity. Same here. Maybe give some new styles a chance. Well, next time you find yourself a free moment, how about I show you some of my favorites? I can brew some tea, prepare some snacks, and we can take our time enjoying them. I want to see you give the game a try. Oh, I sure could, but that might be flouting the rules. As one of the designers, I know the ins and outs of every stage. Might be a little boring for you to watch. Games work best with the element of surprise, and designers should think outside the box to create that. Becoming predictable is the mark of bad development. Of course, drawing outside the box is your field of expertise. I do hope you can take part in game development and planning in the future. I'd love to play something you designed. Oh. Maybe you can. Maybe give some new styles a chance? Why not? With your taste, I'm sure you can show me some hidden gems outside of my usual wheelhouse. If you got a free moment, don't be shy, okay? I hope you rest well too, Mizuki. Don't worry, inviting you here makes this event a success in my book. I'm sure my sleep tonight will be thrice as restful as usual. Alright. Mulani's over there. Okay. Looking good. Tabibito. You're well on your way to becoming an improv master, I'd say. Do you have any tips, Shalonen? Do I ever? Seems like you're interested in the nitty-gritty of DJing, huh? Well then, first up, a good DJ knows their equipment. I've collected a number of schematics from making lots of music equipment in the past. Feel free to pick them up. I'll pick them up next time you swing by. Learning theory is always the blandest part of picking up new music techniques. Once you nail the basics, you're improved by leaps and bounds. Expecting great things from you, okay? Alright? Shalonen, what style of music's your favorite? My favorite style? Hard to say. The way I see it, the overall production quality of a song is the most important. The melody's flow, the arrangement of the piece, the music instruments chosen, the recording quality, and overall processing. They've all got standards to meet. Mainstream stars sometimes produce pieces with exceptional musicality. Conversely, seemingly sophisticated niche styles might turn out less than ideal work. And fooling your audience with a sloppy piece of music by simply slapping a niche label on seems, I don't know, rather base. Yeah, you can't just fake it and hope to make it. Maybe it's best to ignore the labels. In short, there are no shortcuts when it comes to learning music theory, Tabito. The basics are the most important. I'm sure you'll study hard, though. I'll keep looking for inspiration, though. If you've got any good ideas, feel free to just hum them up for me. I'll jot them down. Yo, Tabito. Don't you look full of energy? What kind of songs do you like, Mulani? Me? I'm fine with pretty much anything. Relaxing melodies, heart-pumping beats, jaunty tunes, I love them all. Nah, but I'm not great at rocking out to music that's a bit more solemn and formal. I don't listen to such songs often, but I don't dislike them either. Do you have any advice for the game? Let me jog the old noggin. Based on my experience playing beach volleyball, I think it's easy to slip up if you get anxious. Sometimes when I see the ball fly at me, I freeze up thinking of all the ways I can hit it back. So don't sweat the small stuff, just go with the flow, you know? Makes sense, I'll give it a try. Of course, you can rely solely on your intuition for contests of strategy. When things get serious, you gotta look before you leap too. Everything in moderation. Great game, I want to go again. Look at you go. With your skills and a little more practice, you'll set some unbeatable records in no time. I know it. Alright, let's actually do it. The sound of the ball hitting the target is nice and crisp. We can work it into a steady rhythm and make the perfect accompanying beat. And you are? Hey there, and welcome to our game. I'm a musician hired by the Master Shalonen to run this dance-off stage. Master? Yeah. Whether it's the technology that goes into designing, building, and maintaining our equipment or the ability to DJ, Shalonen's the master that all us musicians aspire to be. When she's DJing, she flows freely between dozens of styles and techniques. Simply put, she can handle any style with style. And her sense of hearing is like razor sharp. Whenever a part of a song's too dry, whenever there's a pitch deviation of more than a semitone or whatever, whenever the sound effects have been pushed just a bit too far, Master Shalonen can tell, even with her ears stuffed full of Kunepa berries. Why would she stuff her ears with Kunepa berries? Because they're full of juice, and listening through them is like being stuck underwater. It's the toughest of trials for any musician around. Although Master Shalonen didn't mention it, I feel like sharp hearing is also helpful for warriors and adventurers. If you want to sharpen your ears, pay Master Shalonen a visit. Okay. Man, he didn't even say who he was. Well, maybe next time. Anytime's a good time. Don't be shy about saying hi if you see any of us DJs putting on a show. Anyway, I like to play a round of rhythm ball. Alright, I'm looking forward to your performance. Get out there and give him a show. It's too easy. I'll just play and then see how it goes. No, that's fine. Start. Who needs manuals, am I right? Oh, crap. I feel like I can dash. too easy, man. Too. Okay, easy enough. Just a nice little chill game. I just can't believe that they shoved it at the very end. Should have shoved it a bit earlier. Nice. I'm not even paying attention to where the balls go. Just trying to hit the damn balls back. Let's freeze them. Holy shit. It devastated completely. Nice. Moved. Oh, nice chill game, I guess. Ah, shit. Oh well, I'll do those in my own time. When is the new version, I wonder? I think it's pretty close. Is how I check. Okay, there should be one more stream. Yeah, I could stream one more, and then there'll be another lore reading stream. Okay, let's continue. I wouldn't exactly say that was great for resting my voice, but sure, whatever. Lightkeeper's Pledge. A metal flower that was worn by the Ratniki. It symbolizes the oath of eternal vigilance taken by its original owner. In those days, the land was leveled by the northern hunting winds, cutting down the unruly frontier folk at the behest of the despotic Nyazes, whatever, and in a bid to seize the power left behind by the heavenly moons. A mad monk who spoke in strange tongues presented a treacherous plot to the Tsar of all Fae. Oh. Thus were the moon children, hidden in their mountain forests, scattered sisters driven by fate down divergent paths. In the end, even that pretentious lunatic could not break free of the celestial shell, and was consumed by the bedeviled sky at the edge of delusion. Yes. Pretentious lunatic could not break free of the celestial shell. The celestial shell meaning the moon? Was consumed by the bedeviled sky at the edge of delusion. Eaten up by the sky? But all this took place before the paradise had even come into being. Paradise? Maybe the world that the primordial one made. For at the time it was no more than a daydream, a fantasy shared by two children beneath the moon's glow. It was not until many years later, when one of them was executed as a notorious bandit, infamous throughout the nations, that the other finally realized the true meaning of those words that had been left behind as if by accident. Two children. One of them was executed for being a bandit. I have no idea. What followed, we all know. When the long night fell, the royal court of the north could no longer mind the remote borderlands beyond the snowy plains. Snezhnaya cannot control Nodcry, and so the horde of pitch-black beasts tore across the barren land, destroying all traces of past civilization. It was not until borrowing power from the priestess of the Moon Children, the original Torch Forger, raised that first beam of light, and in the name of the moon banished the darkness to those lightless ruins, burying it deep down alongside the nightmare-torn souls. When all was over, the survivors raised a lighthouse atop the mountains, gazing far out towards the new ruler of Snezhnaya. To preserve his dear friend's pure childlike dream, the Torch Forger did not shy away from defending it before the Tsaritsa's court. And though he received the royal edict he sought, he also took upon himself an oath of vigilance and sacrifice. And thus began the history of the paradise, known as Nodcry. Ah, the paradise is Nodcry. Here's a notorious bandit. Now that I think about it, like Paradise is in not crying, notorious bandit would fit the description of Reed Miller, right? A treasure hoarder, the founder of the treasure hoarder? Maybe. Nightingale's tail feather. A hat ornament intricately crafted from the feathers of a nightingale. They say that its form was first conceived by the original torch forger. Legends told of a nightingale carrying an ember in its beak that flew only on moonless nights. A speck of fire that would streak across the firmament like a shooting star, a light in dark times. Upon the ancient ruins of a castle, a vestige of an age of pioneers, stood the high tower of the Lightkeepers, standing guard through the long night. Centuries had passed since their ancestors had stood before the Tsaritsa, swearing an oath of eternal fidelity. And the people living in paradise believed that, so long as their lighthouse stayed lit, they could live in freedom. Neither fearing the chaos wrought by the pitch-black beasts, nor needing to seek refuge in the lands to the north. Then one night, a chilling sound carried over the horizon's edge. The leader of the wild hunt was abroad, galloping across the night sky. As ever, the night watchers laid down their great animal skin cloaks, yet that day the sun rose not. The sun didn't rise? As the rallying horns echoed through the hills, warriors formed ranks at the high tower's foot, awaiting that momentous command to march south in fulfillment of the ancient vows. Yet in the great mead hall, the current Starshina sat in silence, for already a mighty host, bright as midsummer's day, had reached the city gates to the north. Warriors of the Pale Star, why do you choose this moment to knock at Pyramida's gates? Fatui, even you have no right to revoke the sacred powers bestowed upon us by Her Majesty the Tsaritsa. Though they claim to be reinforcements, these uninvited guests had ulterior motives, as the Starshina knew full well. But to yield at this juncture would spell the end of the autonomy they had upheld for centuries past. From beneath the lead officer's mask came a voice, low and cold, and in its weak, mocking laugh from parts unknown. Days where the dark calamity began. Remember, Snezhnaya cannot bear the weight of your defeat. Warriors of the Nightingale, fight with all your might, yet should none of you return, then we will take care of the aftermath. Ah. Undying one's morning bell. A bronze bell that was carried by a warrior who walked through the dark abyss. Its peal can be heard on pitch-black nights. The air was thick with the scent of blood, as if signaling the return of the great war by which the earth had been scorched. With a great, mournful wail, that army of spirits flew across the pitch blackness of the night sky. According to the folk tales spread through the countryside, they were said to be the demonic hosts from another world, seeking a harvest of souls. Others believed them to be the lingering phantoms of that ancient nightmare. This was the calamity that the people of the Borderlands referred to as the Wild Hunt. If it had been no more than a summer storm, ravaging the sky with thunder and lightning, it might have seemed a small mishap to those accustomed to a life of adventure. But when that tempest, the likes of which had not been seen for a century, poured down upon the earth like black blood rain, only then did the people realize that these terrifying legends, which had been passed down by their ancestors, were not mere stories meant to frighten children, but born instead of a terror that coursed through their very veins. But in the end, it was a terror that someone had to face, lighting the way for the souls wandering through the boundless dark. A black-feathered flock of crows moved between the realms of light and shadow, led by one who stood against the light, His sword he silently raised, the face reflected on its sheen as sharp and unyielding as the blade itself. Onward pressed the oath-bound legion, that they knew they were as moths to a flame, marching onto that battlefield from whom none would return. Moths to a flame? The flame chasers? At the end of the path, only the one who held the dark blade still stood. They knew that deep within the forest lurked the foul force by which the wild hunt had been summoned forth. Just a little more, a little further, and he would have saved the land he had sworn to protect. Lost in his thoughts, he failed to notice that his body had already been torn asunder, and that the warning bell he carried rang out hissing amidst the tearing of blood and black muck. Perhaps frightened by its unsettling chime, the carrion feeders around him faltered, frozen in their tracks. Thus was he left to walk alone in the abyss, to fulfill an as yet unfulfilled oath. As many years went by, a new tradition was woven into the folklore of the land, that whenever mournful bells toll, it is a sign that the one who swore to hunt down the wild hunt is approaching. I wonder if we'll hear that when we actually go to Nordbury. That sounds very cool. The morning bell. A horn unwinded. A horn that was once used to summon those who had sworn oaths. It has long since lost its purpose. When the horns proclaimed the northern realm's might, thunderous footsteps shook the earth, like iron rails stretching across the frozen tundra, sending pale flames shooting across the land. A contingent sworn to Her Majesty the Tsaritsa, whose loyalty lay with no single harbinger, vowed to forge a pure new world beneath the white, glimmering stars. Even those dwelling in the borderlands, autonomy being bestowed upon them, remained children of the motherland. For in her boundless love, the Tsaritsa abandoned none who chose to follow. Since his earliest years, the warrant officer who led this border squad had held his conviction firm, until he hovered before the very gates of hell and glimpsed those souls unloved by any. The request to strike had yet to be sanctioned, but he had already made up his mind. We journeyed this far to save innocents beset by merciless calamity. How could we stand by as those pitch-black beasts devoured the land, snatching away the lives of mothers and their children? If this was what those in power called an order, then to hell with it. Thus was the foul miasma swept away by the northern winds. Just as the first light of dawn pierces the coal-black clouds, its glow once more cast down upon the cerulean earth below. The war had ended, yet to the high tower no triumphant hero returned, only a criminal, and the children he had risked all to save. Now the plan had strayed slightly from its course. The renegade doctors paid it no heed, but the goal had been achieved. Desertion, treason against the Tsaritsa, grave crimes indeed, yet absolved by a newly sworn oath. Upon a staircase built of bones, new warriors took up their watch, there to stand till the abyssal tides dried up. So Dottore was here. And this guy disobeyed orders to save women and children. The mothers and their children. I might change the location because this music's a bit too cheery. Dyed tassel. An ancient heavy helmet. It is an heirloom that bears the mark of a venerable lineage of northern warriors. It is said that the first torch forger hailed from the wintry city of the furthest north. The Nightingale's emblem, a mark of his illustrious heritage. Originally engaged as spies, the family was elevated to the gentry by the Winter Tsar. And thus did this man of humble origin step into the royal palace, now mingling among the fey dignitaries of the court. the Fae and the Tsar, says the old Archon. When the nations found themselves swept up by that calamity, the frontier regions, once the locus of high hopes during the pioneering age, found themselves bereft of the gods' protection. In Nutcry's darkest hour, from the north came only a single rider clad in dark silver armor. As if knowing why he had come, the Maiden of the New Moon lit a beacon to dispel the darkness. On the eve of their departure for the Lempo Isles in the south, a grand banquet was held for the warriors in the great mead hall. Of those present, the most striking was undoubtedly a certain young warrior, clad in a dark tasseled helmet, polearm clutched in hand. Among the Rachniki of the time, few are those who still wore such archaic, cumbersome armor, for it symbolized their bloodline as descendants of those warriors who first fought alongside the Torchforger to repel the Black Tide. Despite having neither fief nor noble title, they continued to uphold the oaths of their ancestors, for they believed that somewhere out there, the Lord of all Fae and erstwhile protector of Oshnesnaya watched over them still. Amidst the sludge-sullied tundra, now soaked too in the blood of heroes, the young warrior knelt among the bodies of his fallen comrades. Sacrifice had always been the Ratnik's fate and honor. If he could save one more soul, rescue just one other, then all the better. And so, like his ancestors before him, he prayed to an old god that no one now called upon, as well as the Nyazes, whatever, he had once held dominion over. Perhaps awakened by the sound of the horn, or drawn by the long-forgotten scent of bloodshed, or maybe just out of boredom, somewhere out there, as if in an answer to his pleas, a long-dormant phantom stirred from slumber. That ghostly blue wildfire of which ancient legends spoke would burn brightly anew on fresh fields of battle. Blue? Blue wildfire. I don't know of any blue flames, but yeah, that does change place. I cut the DJ's too loud. Ah, this much better. More solemn. I'll read you some stories, Captain. I think it's a bit too solemn with this menu music, so I can't really hear it, but whatever. Finale of the Deep Galleries. Deep Galleries' echoing song. An icy flower fashioned from the Northland jade. Over the course of its long life, its petals have crumbled to dust. Following her master's guidance, the girl ventured northward, traversing the freezing wastelands and the corridor of fractured mirrors at the edge of the frozen sea. After slaying countless monsters that wandered the ruins, finally before the withered husk of a silver tree, she caught a glimpse of treasure concealed beneath drifting snow. That was when the silver moonlight had yet to be shattered in the fires of war, when the divine prophecies of the heavens still extended over the land. The youth who had ventured deep into the earth's bowels met the first angel, inquiring about the most forbidden origins of the world. The Dawn Daughter trembled at these profane words, not knowing how this mortal had uncovered such a closely kept secret. But her visitor laid bare his origins before her, singing to her dreams of beauty that had never yet graced her mind. In an instant, the fetters laid upon her by the enthroned ruler broke apart like a spider's web. For the first time, she discovered what it meant to serve herself. And to the one she loved, she poured out the matter of creation, that most forbidden of unspeakable secrets. Alas, that your ruler would dare to blaspheme such noble beings. Even the demonic sculptors of bloody nightmares, who delight in tormenting souls, would be taken aback by such cruelty. O Dawn Maiden who has never known love, let me stand as the enemy to your laws. Raise your eyes to the stars as you should, for the sake of all beings imprisoned by your ruler. Let me be your sword, your shield, your guide, your unpardonable conspirator in rebellion. Then did she, most exalted of the angels, bend down and kiss his forehead, as countless icy blooms unfurled on the frigid silver tree. Yet this moment of betrayal did not go unwitnessed, for at that very moment, the heavenly moons peered down through the cloak of clouds, a longing still more audacious arising within them. Oh, the moons got jealous. Deep galleries distant packed. A feathered accessory fashioned from Northland jade that shimmers with an otherworldly glow. Following her... It's sort of the same, but a little bit different. Yeah, there's finally before the withered husk of a silver tree. Abyssal remnants. Alright, after slaying countless monsters that wandered the ruins, finally among the abyssal remnants she caught a glimpse of treasure concealed beneath the drifting snow. Yet she was not the first outsider to set foot here. For long before the sands of the far north had woven their sweet dream of submergence, a voyager, whose sentient will traversed the cosmos, once made a vow of reunion with the Lord of Dragons, who had yet to fall into darkness. Ah yes, I heard about this from my name for now. This Nibelung. This passerby was a scribe drifting through the vast void, duty-bound never to commune with primordial civilizations. As her undying body slumbered away within a distant celestial disk construct. Celestial disk construct? A UFO? Her mind had drifted through an empty expanse spanning many light years, charting countless peoples and civilizations fated to perish, pondering the ultimate truths of the cosmos in that eternal darkness, until a faint glimmer pierced her awareness, jolting the voyager from tenfold millennia of meditation. It came from an unremarkable little world at the edge of the spiral arm, and from the primeval dragon that had been born alongside that world. Though death would one day bring an endless night, and the sun it gazed upon was but a fleeting ember, this will, bound through it, bound though it was to its planetary crust, shone more brilliantly than all the civilizations the Voyager had ever seen. Unable to suppress the wonder and sorrow welling up from within, she delivered a solemn pronouncement unto its ruler. Unremarkable little world at the edge of the spiral arm. It's like the imaginary tree, and it's just one of the worlds on the branches. Now I've seen the lightless end tearing through star clusters like a spindle among silken threads. I've seen how the cold tide of chaos drowns out all songs, so that good and evil alike vanish into silence. And yet my kind, gentle king, will you still refuse to abandon your people, forsake this world fated for ruin, and journey with me beyond the stars? Yet thus did the proud dragon reply. O friend from a distant world, I thank you for imparting these truths from beyond the skies, forbidden knowledge. But though in your eyes they may seem ignorant creatures, to me, they are the very meaning of this universe. If the tide of oblivion must come, then let my bones be the bulwark that shields this realm. Bear witness to the path I have chosen, for I shall lead my people onward to the stars. To escape Teyvat. But when the Voyager returned once more, the world she remembered had been utterly changed. The bones of the earth had been bound beneath fourfold shackles, and the soft white radiance of the sky had been split into 7 immutable hues. Like drifting smoke had the Lord of Dragons vanished, and the Winged One's throne now ruled the radiance of the 3 moons. Winged One. So the Winged One would be Nibelung, throne now ruled the radiance of the 3 moons. 3 moons came after Nibelung was gone. Bewildered by the dragon's unannounced departure, yet unwilling to disturb the world's new ruler, the Voyager, defying the laws of her kin, quietly cast her mind into the world inside the shell, vesting her consciousness in the body of a youth. She walked among these caudate animals, listening to their fervent and ever-escalating debate in the City of Gold. Deep Gallery's moment of oblivion. Falcon watched fashion from Northland Jade, his hands forever frozen in the moment of its destruction. After slaying countless monsters that wandered the ruins, finally before the Golden Tower she caught a glimpse of treasure concealed beneath the drifting snow. There was an era now lost to memory, when the city of the far north glittered like golden threads over the frozen wastelands, and the furnaces of the deep galleries thundered day and night. Turning to forbidden methods, artisans forged countless face spirits upon the bones of giant beasts. They created face spirits? Good aim. Having spun fallen frost moon light into flawless flesh and blood, they clad it to forms once frail and weak. Such authority to create was once the lord of the firmament's divine prerogative, yet it was handed to mortals by the rebellious envoy, who dreamed that one day these little creatures might create a perfect being that could merge with the world. So this Voyager gave them the ability to create life. Within the deep galleries which still stood intact, the first angel whispered sweet dreams of the coming dawn to her companion. I see a time when the earthly nations will yearn no longer for heavenly mercy. The cities they build will rise up to the clouds, higher even than the throne and the stars. I see humans sharing the vast sky with the gods they once revered. There will be no more tears, sorrow, or death, for all will be complete. Yet in the end, such wild delusions and ambitions were brought down from the heavens, and with them fell deep blue crystal spikes. Oh, heavenly nails. The Fae shrieked as they turned into icy silver mist, and in the space of a single night, the splendor of the Golden City was ruined by frost-laden winds. Their traitorous envoy was stripped of both name and form, and from that moment onward, a curse fell upon her kin, and they dared gaze into another's eyes, and to one alone offer the love that was meant for all. Then not only would their divine beauty crumble into the wind, but their minds would fall to dust, until from the fallen one's remains a Seelie would rise, forever drifting in search of fading memories to consume. That's how Seelies are born. Deep Gallery's bestowed banquet. A cup fashioned from Northland jade. They say that the people of an ancient civilization once used it as a ceremonial vessel to make offerings to the heavens. Following her master's guidance, the girl ventured northward. Oh shit. Whatever. Traversing freezing wastelands and the corridor of fractured mirrors at the edge of the frozen sea. Alone she walked through the ruins of the Spiral Abyss. Spiral Abyss? Intent on finding the trail of the Voyager that the magical swordmaster has spoken of. Everyone's still looking for the Voyager. Yeah, they kinda brought ruin to everything. There was a time when the silver moonlight still showed mercy upon the lands of the far north, and the envoys of the heavens still gazed down upon the dust and mud. Having angered the divine envoys by questioning the progress of knowledge, the people of the Golden City now argued endlessly amongst themselves as for how to quell their wrath. The priests accused each other of sacrilege, of defiling the love, prosperity, and wisdom of the gods. Amongst themselves, they sought to identify the chief culprit, for it was their intention that the one responsible for corrupting the people's minds would likewise be the one to appease the divine envoys. Yet all of a sudden a voice was heard. If sin comes from the pursuit of knowledge, then ignorance is the true doctrine. If from rebellion, then only the Lamb is truly righteous. If sin must be atoned for with blood, why is it said to stem from humanity? If the laws are perfect and flawless, why fear the act of inquiry? It was merely a boy of humble birth who, having somehow slipped past the watchful guards, had stepped into the chamber where the priests had convened. All of their scholarly accusations he refuted in turn, the charges of heresy reduced to naught but angry, speechless glares. In that silent chamber, the chief priest who wore the white branch crown finally dismissed the guards who had rushed in. "Oh, heretical speaker, if, as your eloquent words would suggest, you truly hold that grievous sin is but the delusion of mere mortals, then let you be the one to drink from this cup of burning wrath. Go to the ashen silver tree and plead your case before the very envoys who have cast judgment upon us." And so the previously unknown youth ventured forth into the deepest recesses of the earth, seeking answers from the first angel. The unknown youth. Shit. Deep Gallery's lost crown. A helmet steeped in obsession, just like the mind of its previous owner. Its jade ornamentation seems to come from an age more ancient still. Following her master's guidance, the girl ventured northward, traversing the freezing wastelands and the corridor of fractured mirrors at the edge of the frozen sea. After slaying countless monsters that wandered the ruins, finally through a tattered veil, she caught a glimpse of treasure concealed beneath the drifting snow. It was an age when the unknowing masses still bowed to the sky's decrees, when the Dawn Star's royal court still hung high above the clouds. Magnificent, noble creations descended from the light itself, and the mortals, unable to look upon their true visages, called them angels. Their pale silver wings shimmered like moonlit flames. Their heads were adorned with crowns of sevenfold radiance, wrought of the bones of the earth and the stars of the sky. The name upon those crowns was the love promised unto all creatures by the heavenly god, or perhaps a mandate to rule over the nations of the earth. With all your heart, soul, and might, you shall love all the beings of this earth. You shall love as morning dew longs for the dawn, as seeds long for the trade winds. They were the most loyal servants of the heavenly court, flawless arbiters of justice. They wove a veil for the great ruler of the firmament, delivering sacred revelations to all realms. Such was the duty invested upon them at the moment of their creation, or so it should have been, until the first angel met an unnamed youth beneath the silver tree in the far north. And those star-like pupils saw a reflection of herself she had never yet known. It was a love not inscribed by law, a freedom the skies would never permit, as her heart fluttered for reasons she could not know. The eternal star crown forged in love's name suddenly fractured, and casting it into the snow beneath the silver tree, a dawn maiden made her fateful vow. "Come now, come, Let us recast these absurd laws with bone and nourish the barren north with blood. Let us build a city and tower that soars up to the clouds, that the people of the earth need weep bitter tears no longer. I cast this useless crown into the dust, that all earthly nations may breathe free of their shackles. Well, now we learn about the Golden City. I don't know where the name Ajax the Brave came from. Anyway. Oh, this might take a while. Army Monatu, Ricos Hanapacha, Mount Domingo, Menelithin, Rangi Nui, Headless Kukutao, Thousand Knights, and the Shadow Pins. I have a feeling this is relevant. Let me see. An hour and 40 something minutes. Maybe I'll read like 2 books. How many is this? 1 volume? 1 volume, huh? Alright. A woven scroll that depicts the legend of the hero Traore, a favorite among the children of the Nanatskayan, Volcano Lord and the Shadow Pins. This is one part of the story of the Volcano Lord's struggle against the people of the tribes. If we were to start from the beginning, the storyteller might have to spend 17 days and 17 nights by the bonfire to finish, and by the end the children might have fallen into dreamland on account of the lengthy tale. No one would hear the best part of the ending. As such, let us skip some of the, let's call them the parts less important to the listeners. Instead, let us speak of the Volcano Lord and the shadow pin that hangs above the sulphurous veins. Our story unfolds in a time when great beasts withdrew from this land, and when the empty great volcano of Tolan was occupied by the dark Volcano Lord. The great volcano was once the dwelling of great dragons, and on this matter little further need be said. But when they fled amidst the flames, their dwelling was seized by the devious Volcano Lord. No one knows what said Lord looked like, but the tribal elders who saw it all say it was a black and purple giant with a salamander's form. Black and purple giant with salamander's form. Is it Gosayoth? In ancient times, such conflated salamanders with dragons. Some conflated salamanders with dragons, but nowadays everyone knows that a salamander is just that. Anyway, the Volcano Lord dominated the lands of Natlan, committing countless vile acts. It bathed in the springs of the Middle Sea, causing the people of the springs to be filled with smog, and it blew a wind filled with sparks to the sides of the canopy. At its worst, it even swallowed the entire collective of Plenty. That would have been trouble indeed, and the Tatankasaurs and the tribe's warriors not breached its stomach while it slept and escaped. All in all, this being did every wicked thing you could imagine, causing untold suffering to the tribes. And on this particular day, it lay within the volcano, gazing in its dark form, and a new wicked thought came to it. It's just so dark down there under the volcano, even darker than a moonless night. Can't even see my own body. I've heard that the valleys of the Children of Echoes to the east are home to countless gems. If I could swallow all those shiny stones, then my stomach shall shine brightly like a starry night, even in the darkest of places. So saying, it turned about, having decided to do just that. But the Volcano Lord was far too large, and it missed his notice that a little flying squirrel had heard his words. The little flying squirrel hurried to tell the story to a flying phlogiston aphid. The aphid flew on high and told all it knew to a grazing long-necked rhino, who then told a Tapetlosaurus with whom it was best friends with. This Tapetlosaurus, in turn, was none other than the saurian companion of the Children of Echo's elder, Traore. Alright. And thus did Elder Traore hear of the Volcano Lord's plot to seize the gems from his companion. This was terrible timing for the children. Their strongest warrior, the chief Sunjata, and his companions had followed the hero Tenok to the island in the far west to halt the giant dark beast, and could not do battle against the Volcano Lord. And so Chorore and the warriors guarding the tribe sought aid from the tribe's Wayob, for all within the tribe knew that the Wayob symbolized all wisdom and the greatest of souls. Under the Wayob's guidance, Chorore came up with a way to resist the Volcano Lord, so he and the soldiers made ready, sure to inflict a crushing defeat on him. The Volcano Lord caused the volcano to belch thick smoke. Hiding himself within the smog, it was with such fanfare that he drew near the Valley of the Children of Echoes. When he reached the sulphurous veins, he saw a tiny tribesperson standing there, as if long having awaited his arrival. This was Chorore. Chorore said, "O Lord, O Volcano Lord, long have we heard of your departure. Long have we believed that your majestic form should be should by right be adorned with our finest gemstones. For this we have specifically built a stone chamber and placed all our gems within." Now the Volcano Lord thought, how did these puny people know that he had come to take their gems? Nonetheless, he was a mighty overlord. What needs had he to concern himself with such matters? Thus did he gladly follow Chorore to the stone chamber, only to pause in confusion once he laid eyes upon the chamber. For the gate to the chamber was only human-sized, far too small for a giant black salamander. "Is this the chamber?" The Volcano Lord expelled hot air in displeasure. "How am I to enter it?" "Alas, Lord, but our hasty preparation is to blame, for we are but puny humans unable to construct great palaces to contain your magnificent form. But you may still reach your hand into it. The treasures are there for the taking," Chorore said. "I cannot see what it is within. You sly little human. Looking to play tricks on your overlord, are you? Ha! Think that I do not see how must have hidden a mechanism within that shall do hurt to my arm?" Please do not worry, Lord," Chorore said. "See, I shall enter the stone chamber first, and then you can stretch your arm in after me. Should there be a trap to hurt you, will it not slay me first? Our tribe fears death and loves life almost as much as we love our gems. We'd never make such a sacrifice." True that. The Volcano Lord thought. These puny little tribespeople always prized their lives. Did they not? Why else would they have prepared a tribute of gems even before he had even arrived? And thus did Chorore enter the stone chamber, golden whistle in hand, and the Volcano Lord extended his arm after him. And lo, there were indeed piles of gems inside. Chorore poured jewels and ores into the Volcano Lord's hand, and the fist the Lord balled around the stones grew larger and larger, until it was larger even than the chamber gate. And it was at that moment Chorore blew his golden whistle. The tribal warriors lying in ambush by the stone chamber prayed that the Wayob would unveil its power there and then, and the Wayob borrowing 4 sewing pins, 3 short and 1 long, from the tribespeople, blew them toward the Volcano Lord. The 4 pins absorbed the power of both the tribespeople's flesh and blood, and the Wayob, and so they grew as they flew, turning into 4 titanic phlogiston nails. Only then did the Overlord realize that he had fallen into a trap, and cursed in his heart the cunning tribespeople. But his hand so filled with gems could no longer be opened. There was no retracting it from the stone chamber. 1 pin, 2 pins, 3 pins. The 3 smaller stone pillars pinned its jet black arm to the sulphurous veins, but before the last and largest stone pillar could fall, the Volcano Lord, gritting its teeth, severed its own arm and fled. That black arm was left pinned to the ground like a shadow, which is why the long crystalline pillars of the sulphurous veins are known as shadow pins. As for the largest shadow pin, it did not completely fall to the earth, for the Volcano Lord had already fled before then. However, so long as the shadow pin remains suspended over the sulphurous veins, never again shall the Volcano Lord dare draw near the Children of Echoes. And this is the story of said Lord and the shadow pins. As for Chorore, who boldly used himself as bait, how had he escaped a chamber, blocked as it was, and now was, by the Volcano Lord's arm? Well, you must have mastered some marvelous skill, of course. After all, there are many more legends concerning him that take place after this one. Man, that was long. I need a drink. Springs of Hidden Jade. Well, this one doesn't seem too long. What kind of passerby would the young man lost in a secluded bamboo grove meet along his way? It was when dawn's first dew drizzled upon the lotus leaves, and frogs sang once more, that the young man began to awake. The morning sun cast shards of light through the bamboo wood, ever so slightly evaporating the previous night's dew still sticking on his linen clothes, while pearly glistening were the white maned strands that yet lingered on his shoulder. As the sun shone upon his face, the young man stood up in his lethargy, half opening his eyes. Only then did he discover that which had disturbed his slumber, a pair of eyes, sparkling like amber gold. "It's getting late, lazy bones." The slender golden-eyed woman leaned over slightly, her long platinum hair flowing over her shoulders. Her words bore annoyance, but her eyes hid a smile. The young man had come to this valley of hidden jade to cultivate his arts, only to unexpectedly encounter a adeptus one night as she, too, passed through these same woods. This from the animation. Moonlit Bamboo Forest. Part 2, actually. She wore a long white cotton robe, and a pearly raincoat and hat were about her. Her eyes were dazzling and gentle, yet indifferent, and her voice was elegant and tranquil, like jade that falls into a clear spring. She spoke of tales ancient and absorbing, so much so that he forgot the moon's rise and fall, the cycle and orbit of the stars. Even the first croaks of frogs and cries of the cicadas at dawn slipped away from him. After that, she took him on a tour of secluded abodes, where Adepti dwelled, and there had him watch an unfinished game of chess. To the bottom of a clear river, exploring the courts of deceased deities, up steep cliffs that overlooked the desolate cities left behind by the mountain tribes, and still after, when silver butterflies glittered in the moonlight, they would explore the dreams of the fish that played beneath the springs, and they danced together like the ancestral mages who revered the serpent, accompanying the demons and gods of the mountain in falling into deep slumber only when the cicadas had fallen silent. Recalling all this, the young man gazed at her back and sighed. "What's wrong? You were fine just now. Why are you zoning out all of a sudden?" Sensing his companion's curiosity, the young man who had thus far simply gazed at her in silence spoke of the misgiving he held in his heart. "Mortal are but transient guests between heaven and earth, and thus are inclined to momentary joy and sadness, binding ourselves to individual points in the past and forever seeking their echoes. What would an adeptus think of such a lovely night? You do think highly of yourself. Alas, I may forget you in but a moment. We adepti really are heartless like that." Then she gave him a sly smile, and her eyes squinted to slits. "But since you'd like to know, I'll tell you." The adepti have a long lifespan, and thus they naturally perceive time differently from short-lived mortals. A mortal's eyes are fixed upon a narrow, limited future, but in her eyes, time unfurls like a vast painted screen. A mortal views time as an eternal river of blood. No matter how the crimson torrent rushes along its fixed paths, no matter how it branches and diverges, it surges inexorably toward a horizon so red it appears blank, toward distant, silent death. In her eyes, time is a barren wasteland with neither beginning nor end, blanketed in spider silk threads, that stretch to unknowable distances. Here all things walk or run. Even the mighty mountains, so fixed in mortal sight, may dissipate like rolling clouds in hers. Even Mercury, which mortals hold to be enduring, though her amber gold eyes can be seen to wear, tear, and collapse, to say nothing of such fleeting troubles or love. In the endless journey of life, mortals often miss their homeland, and thus wander amidst time's boundless flow, entertaining fantasies that a lost image could be recreated in the future. Though they are driven and pushed by the torrent of the passing years, and when forced to make devastating decisions, they would often look back at the past, perplexed as though light, long faded, might yet return. But not so her. She sprinted up forever alongside all movements, her flying hair ever white gold as she shattered every wave and dispersed all sediment, caring only to run from this moment into the future. The mountain people once viewed her as Time's daughter, like a white horse leaping from a pure spring, one whom no shackles could bind. Just as it was with her proud mother, so it was with her. No wall of eggshell could bar her path. Eggshell, huh? The shepherds of the plains once pursued her steps, freeing themselves of the fetters of the wilderness, embarking on a migratory search for the waterweeds, and thus did the golden white foal blaze the trail for all herds in the land. The kingdom of the ocean depths once saw her as an emissary, and based on their imagination, they granted her scales and tail plumage, falling down in worship of the light brought by one who was both mother and daughter. In the days when mortals received the blessings of the heavens, great heroes and wandering champions would visit the clear springs for her blessing, fighting over the tenderness she left in her hurried wake. But when the moon palace collapsed, the chariot fell, and the three sisters were slain. These legends became lost alongside disaster's descent and the downfall of bygone peoples. The heavens rained down cruel order, and from that day the stars stilled their orbits, and the earth ceased to turn. As for her, she had no choice but to be trapped within the shell of the starry sky, forced to tarry within this stagnant foreign land, awaiting her mother's thousand threats, awaiting the erosion of hardy stone, awaiting the next encounter from beyond. Now then, I've answered your question, and as for the story that follows, I told you much of it last night. I knew not when, but she had already wrapped herself in her white shirt. She turned her back to the scattered sunlight, and her amber gold eyes glittered in the darkness. Now it seems rude to mention this now, but I know you only as a transcendent adeptus, but not where you come from or even your name. Might I have it? Once again, just as she had once faced another charge she knew, not amidst the bamboo forest. She only laughed, saying nothing more. Sighing, the young man nodded to her, bidding her farewell. Many years later, the young man, now old and grey, recalled this moment by chance. By then he had honed his swordplay to flow like water, founded his own sect, the Gulhua sect, and became a teacher. And still he never could comprehend the final story she told him. And as for her, she sprints still along the threads of fate, concealing her trail beneath the forests and springs, far from the gaze of the gods, guarding the ancient stories that slip away from even her. Shia, an angel? I have no idea. She yearns for a being from beyond the world, so maybe she's the first angel. Anyway, I might have to end it here because oh, look at the rewards. My throat's beginning to give. Anyway, the night before departure. Recently, I've observed a rise in the sales of floral-flavored alcoholic drinks. The varieties used aren't limited to those native to Mondstadt either, although importing the various seeds to cultivate them at the winery is one possible option. I'd rather take this opportunity to travel to other nations. Such fieldwork helps ensure that any decision I make is well informed. Meanwhile, I've entrusted the management of the winery's affairs in my absence to Elzer, and Mondstadt has the Knight of Avonius to defend it. I doubt either matter will require my intervention. In any case, I won't be gone for long, but I'm writing this letter anyway, so you don't come looking for me while I'm not in. Will he be back for 5.6 though? He should be. I guess Kaya didn't share his sample tasting in Sumeru with Diluc. Or maybe he did. Anyway, apparently the Song of the Welcome Moon is supposed to be updated. So I want to check that out. If it is actually updated. Let's see. Not let's start, no. Doesn't seem like there's anything. I'm pretty sure I was supposed to update at the 30th of last month. Okay. Is it loading? Okay, let's get into her lab. Well, maybe it was just the behind the scenes with Nordcry announcement. Maybe that was it, because, that was literally on the April 30th. So maybe there was no update to the web event. It was just that. Alright, I get it now. That must be it. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll read more next time. I'll finish off the events, and hopefully I get the ending to our little Saurian buddy in the next one. Anyways, Peach, see you next time.